Hello and welcome to this tutorial. Today I will show you how to create this simple building generator that you can see. I will add some timestamps so you can see what parts there are to it. I hope you enjoy it and learn something. First of all, we need a base mesh. This will just be one piece that we repeat over a grid. You can see in this picture that it's basically the same window placed next to itself a few times. There's also separate ports like the balcony and the air conditioners. Those can be placed pretty easily afterwards, which I will show a bit later. The first thing we need to do is to create that one piece of the wall with a single window. Make sure the origin of the window is at 0, 0 and the bottom left corner of the window. You can spend as much time as you want on this, just make sure the mesh can tile both horizontally and vertically. You most likely want the material for it as well, so it's a good idea to have UVs that can tile. Now the mesh is done and you can export it. Now you can open Unreal Engine and then create a new actor and call it whatever you like. We will do all the work in the construction script, which is similar to the event graph, but it runs in the editor and not when you play the game. So it's great for creating assets from maps and things. The first thing to do is create an instant static mesh in the component section. This is required so we can spawn several meshes. We also want to be able to change the mesh in case we have different buildings, so connect the instant static mesh to a set static mesh node. Then promote a new mesh to a variable and click the I so you can edit it outside the blueprint. To set the dimensions of the building, we need 3 integers: depth, width and height, and also press the I on these two so we can view them outside of this blueprint. Now create a sequence. We have 4 walls for a normal building, so create 4 outputs for it. To calculate the positions for the windows, we need 2 for loops, one for the x-axis and one for the z. The first one takes in the width, the second one takes the height. We plug it into the last index, since that means how many times the loop will run, and then stop. After these loops, we connect it to an add instance node. It will add as many windows as the width multiplied by the height. Then split the transform pins so we can see the x, y and z coordinates. To calculate the x-axis, we can multiply the for loop index by the width of the mesh. The width can be obtained by getting the x-axis bounds for the mesh. If you put the actor in the world now, you can see it working. But the width doesn't match. This is because the array started at number 0, not 1. To fix this, we can subtract 1 from the width. And also the height, but I forgot to do that in this clip, but you can do it. It's the same way for the z-axis. Let's use the z-bounds instead for this. Now we have created one wall pretty easily, and the same concept will apply for the other walls, with some tweaks. Now we can organize it a bit, and then duplicate this code to repurpose it for the backside. First we need to rotate the meshes by 180 degrees. Then we can set its Y position by multiplying the mesh width by the depth. It's on the wrong side, so the position needs to be inversed. The x-axis is also wrong. We can fix that by adding one mesh width to it. And all that works great. So now we just need 2 more walls and a roof for it. For the left wall, we can duplicate one of the previous walls and replace some values again. First we need to change the width to use depth instead. We need to invert the y-axis, since it's going in the negative direction. We also need to change the rotation. And offset the y-axis with 1 mesh width. I also removed the z-axis in this clip for some reason, but just do it as we did before, multiply the index by the max z. And that's another wall done. Now it's just the right, and it's pretty easy as well. For the right wall, duplicate the previous wall once again. To align it correctly on the x-axis, connect the width times the window width into the x. Now invert the rotation to fix that. Also remove this minus, because it's not necessary. That's all the walls done. It looks really simple, but this is a very powerful way of creating buildings, and it can easily be expanded. And you can add other stuff, like customization and balconies and what I talked about earlier. Now we need another mesh, one for the roof. Make sure to keep the origin in the bottom left again. Now import the mesh from Blender or whatever software you used and add it to the component section inside of the blueprint. You can do the same thing as the window mesh here, so you can select what mesh you want in the editor. Now we need 2 more for loops, one for the X and one for the Y. Now duplicate the add instance node and add it to the back of the for loop. You can reuse the same code for the height of the roof from before. The x-axis location is just the width times the window width, and then plug it in there. And the y location is the same, but it has to be multiplied by -1 again, because it's going in the negative direction. And that's basically it for simple building generator. Pretty easy, and it's very powerful, and you can add more stuff to it. If you want a tutorial on adding more details to it, and materials and randomization, please tell me in the comments. And thank you for watching. Goodbye.